influence in the surroundings and other brains that are there. And so please meditate during the group times, the global group times that are provided. So just to finish up, it's a win-win-win situation to meditate in the collective during the global group meditation times. It's a win for yourself, for your family, and for your world. So thank you, everyone. Aloha.
Thank you, Cynthia. Aloha to you. And that was profound, of course. Beautiful. Thank you so much. We'd like to open it up to questions and comments now. Please type anything you have into the Q&A box, and we'll present them. Okay, so there's one from Colleen Chatterton. I got on a little late, but if Cynthia hasn't addressed this already, do they have EEGs of people having a lot of experiences of cosmic consciousness? If so, do they have EEG of people with even higher states of consciousness? I'm curious what the, yeah, so
yes.
Yeah, okay, go ahead. I think you got it.
Did she have more to the question?
Is there, a difference between the different, the refining process and the different states of consciousness?
Yes, and that's a very good question. And I'm going to go out here and you tell me when I should end, because this question I have lots of EEG to show you. Okay, so all of you great neuroscientists, this is a challenge. So what we're looking at is basically a box around the head. We're looking at the front, we're looking at the right and left hemisphere, we're looking at the right and left hemisphere, the parietal in the back, and then again, the left and right. So all these lines represent that total brain activity. So you can see it going up and down. Now look at this. This is a person in higher states of consciousness. If we ever show this to brain scientists, they can't believe, they think something's wrong with the EEG machine. Look at it, these moments of total brain functioning, where all the brain is functioning together. Now I have to show you one other thing real quick. I'll go back to the Mother Divine EEG. Okay, so here you see alpha. Now alpha is a frequency, it's a slower frequency, 8 to 12 cycles per second, but then when you stretch it out over time, it looks like a wave. And then you have beta, which is like 13 to 25, going a little faster. And then you have gamma, which goes very fast, very, very fast. Now you can think of alpha if we use the term knower, process of knowing, and known. I mean, there's three components to experience, and that is you have the knower, yourself. Right now, you're seeing the computer screen, for example, so that's your process of knowing. You're also hearing, that's also your process of knowing, your beta. And then the gamma is the actual computer screen, this cursor going up and down like that. So your gamma is actually, that frequency in your brain is actually computing, putting together your object, your computer screen. That's what your gamma is doing. Your beta is the frequencies that is used for your brain, uses to compute the process of knowing. And then your alpha is you. It's who you are, yourself. So generally, what we see this white line here? this is the prefrontal cortex, right and left hemisphere. Now, this is the signature of TM. When someone learns TM, we see this happening very quickly, these high prefrontal cortex alpha. But this orange is the back, the parietal, the right and left hemisphere of the parietal. Generally, when an individual starts TM, that's going up and down the orange line. It isn't so unified, so connected to the front. But look at this. This is just so beautiful. Now, the same with the beta. Generally, that takes, an individual that is using Maharshi's advanced programs to see the beta start to become more coherent. And the same with the gamma. So as one increases in higher and higher states of consciousness, then the alpha, the back parietal, becomes very coordinated with the front, and the beta becomes higher, and then we see the back being more coordinated with the front. And the same with the gamma. It takes quite a long time. So this is so beautiful to see these high levels is very indicative of a very unified state of consciousness. So I'm sorry it took so long on that, but it was a beautiful answer. Thank you. I hope that helped.
Thank you so much, Cynthia. That was very good. I think because it is a little bit late now, we'll just take one, and if you could just do this quickly.
Okay.
Profound question, though. Marcy says that consciousness is primary and matter is secondary. So can you please explain that point in relation to, your talk and all?
Yes, thank you. Very profound questions. Boy, what a group. Maharshi says you have a brain, and it's material. And then you have consciousness, it's non-material. And as I said before, the material brain creates a non-material substance, which is activity. So consciousness is the prime mover, but we also have to be able to reflect that. And the brain, that material brain, in its magnificent organized ability, creates this non-material activity that infinite consciousness, that prime mover, can reflect itself so we can have a human nervous system and experience pure consciousness and live enlightenment. And I could say a ton more, but I'm going to limit myself because of the time. Mm-hmm. But I hope that was a good answer.
Yeah, I think that was very clear. For me at least, and I think for others. Yeah, so Cynthia, it's just so good. We could have, it could be a whole course that you could offer for us, but thank you for everything that you've presented today. And is there any last burning question from anybody? I think that on Sunday you answered a question about ADHD in children, and you showed a slide, and I really want people to just see that for one minute if possible, because it's so profound and inspiring what TM can do for that state. And then we'll move on to our song and group meditation.
Okay, good. So this study was done by Dr. Fred Travis in 2008. And there's actually quite a lot of ADHD research. And you can see that it was basically conducted over a 3-month period of time. This is the control group. You're looking at the front part of the brain, which we heard is very important, the prefrontal cortex. That has to do with, especially with ADHD kids, what happens is their prefrontal cortex is offline and they're kind of on impulse how they work. So when you see these brains, these are ADHD kids that haven't learned TM. And you see these kind of light lines here. These are leads of EEG caps. So you have quite a few leads. And it's showing if this part of the brain's working good with this part of the brain, there's a line there. So you can see that. Now, if the line gets darker, that means that there's even more. So there's a cutoff point. The computer says, okay, if it's over 50%, I'm going to put a light line. If it's over 60%, I'll put a dark line, something like that. So you can see over time, it actually gets worse. Now look what happens with the practice of transcendental meditation. Now, we don't have a lot of time, but I think it's pretty evident. Look at this brain. What happens, and that's what the students report. We've taught a lot of kids with ADHD, is that it's like they say, their brain comes online. It's just waking up. And every time they transcend, then the whole prefrontal cortex is actually rewiring to allow that student to be more awake, to be more attentive. And, you know, it can happen so quickly. I mean, just in 3 months, we see things happening. We take the EEG before and after. We see things happening in 2 weeks or even a week, just huge, huge change. So thank you for letting me show that. It's very powerful. Thank you, Dr. Travis.
Thank you so much. So many comments, how simple, profound, great.